It's Steve and Matt with a public service announcement. And we're sick and tired of this. And so we got to say this public service announcement goes out to our friends in Public Works and Caltrans. Let's talk about your road construction and detours, man. All right, Matt, give them the skinny on what happened.
All right. So recently I went on a road trip, and the last day of the road trip, I was doing a long drive. I was coming back from the Tahoe area down to Southern California. Those of you who've done that drive know that that's a long, like 9 or 10 hour drive. And I ran into, no kidding, in that stretch, almost all on state highways or federal interstate freeways. I ran into no less than 5 one-lane stoppages. So what that means is a traffic control where they limit only one lane of traffic, and they actually have to control. They have to stop one side, allow traffic to flow one direction, and then send the traffic along that same roadway after the other direction traffic has gone through. And then near the end of my trip, I was near the top of the Cajon Pass. And for those of you who are not in California, that's this big pass from the high desert that is relatively constricted. You have to go through this pass to get down into the basin where most of the LA area is. They had a point where the Interstate 395 reached the Interstate 15, and they closed off the ramp completely. And you couldn't go direct. Used to be you could go to 395, the ramp was right onto the 15, and then you're good to go. In this case, on this evening, they had shut that ramp down. They were doing work, which we understand. Work needs to be done on roadways. Roadways break down. They need to be worked. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Infrastructure bills, man. Let's get it all done at once, though. Yeah,
perfect. Right. Yeah. So I'm sitting there. It's like, okay, I have to go on the 15 South to get to where I'm going. How am I going to get on 15 South? There were no detour signs, Steve. There were no light boards. There were no error boards or anything like that. No indication whatsoever. It's just a stop, and this ramp is closed. You cannot go forward. You have to, and they only had, you can either go back the way you came, because by then 395 was kind of a metered roadway with stoplights at occasional spots because it was coming to the end, or you had to go to the left to what was a overpass bridge over the 15. I'm like, okay, well, there's probably an on-ramp right there, right? So I go over there. That on-ramp was closed. And it was dark. There wasn't even any work doing there. So you couldn't even see. You look at it, it's like, oh, ramp is closed. Again, no detour signs, no boards. So I'm driving over the overpass, going along the frontage road on the east side of the 15, and going like, should I go left and drive up? And or will that on-ramp be, if I drive up one mile, will that be? Or do I go south and drive? Is there even that much room before the pass? I didn't know. And I could see the confusion around me. I mean, there were big, Steve, there were big, it's a freeway. There were big trucks. These roads aren't designed to have the big rigs driving down them. And they were kind of like, you can say every time there's like a little stop sign there, and there were cars that were just kind of, you could see every driver
trying to search their phone and their GPS. Because they're all saying the same thing. Go to this on-ramp, which is closed.
Right. Exactly. They're trying to, it's like, what's the right move here? And no guidance from traffic control that took control of that ramp. And that's why it's so, if you're going to put a stop to such a critical ramp for access to the 15, you have to provide clear guidance of a detour.
Yeah, and not just up front, damn it. All the way through.
Right. I had no indication prior to receiving that one was coming.
All right. We love you guys in Public Works. We love Caltrans. But here's the thing. Who's got to approve your plans? The traffic engineer. So this public service announcement is to the traffic engineer. Get it together. Like, you got to put these signs up all the way through. The plan has to be detailed. Folks, this happened to me not too long ago. I went to see this lady that I was dating, and I left her place at 11 o'clock. I'm driving down the 22, which turns into the 405. The whole freeway is closed. Okay, it says detour at this ramp. So I get off, and then there's no further detour. Go left or right.
This
Okay,
says detour, get off, and then that's it.
that's it. So I'm like, now I don't I don't really frequent that area right there, you know. So I'm making an educated guess. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go left. So I go left to jump back on the 405. I figure, oh, okay, I'll jump the 405 south and I'll go down an exit and I will turn around and get on the 405 north. Jump the 405 south, go to the first exit, get off, go to get on the 405 north. Closed. Dang it. So now there's no return back on the 405 south there or whatever. So I got to go through all these neighborhoods, and the GPS is like, it's still showing me, like everything's showing me the same thing I just looked at. It's not like, oh,
Right.
you got to go this way. So I drive all the way back through. I get back on the 22 because that's the first one I can connect to. I get off again. I go left again. I go down the 405 south, and this time I go down to the second exit, thinking, okay, I'll try the second one,
Second exit,
which
right.
now is 5 or 6 miles the wrong way. So I go down to that one, and it finally is open. But when I got off on that one, you had to circle around to find the 405 north. And so by
Right.
the time I'm done, I'm into this thing 45 minutes, almost an hour before I even get home. And I'm thinking, what? Why couldn't you, if you're shutting the 22 to the 405, you know people are going up the 405. Why in the hell can't you say where to go? Why can't you put up detour signs all the way that are easily seen? And so you got to do this, folks. Here we are. We're talking about the environment. You want us to get rid of our gas powered vehicles. You want us to get rid of our gas stoves. You want us to do this and do that and no use these crappy paper straws. How about this? How about you don't have us running around in circles for 45 minutes spewing out gas and
Yeah.
emissions and actually just give us a detour? Like,
Yeah.
please, can you do that? I mean, you said that trip ended up taking you 14 and a half hours when it's supposed to be like 10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, again, I probably had about 2 hours there where
Okay.
I was not driving out of choice, but still, yeah, it had a severe impact.
Yeah.
Several traffic areas. You know what up in Oregon, I was driving on the same trip. I was driving along the Columbia River Gorge, the scenic bypass. They had a section they needed to do work, and they put you off onto a side road to get past this work. And it was a good bit. It was probably about a 5 mile detour. It was fully marked
Yep.
the whole way. I
Yep.
never had any doubt about where I was going. That was a great example of how to do it right. I knew at all times where I needed to go. And apparently whatever the connection is to GPS, to Google Maps and stuff like that, my Google Maps knew about it. So
Yeah.
there was a notification
Right.
from the agency to Google Maps, and Google Maps knew, and it led me on there.
Well,
There's
that's
so
that.
many
In
steps.
those
Yeah.
areas, those are those good old country boys. It's like where I grew up when I was driving through Oklahoma and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, if you did that, some guy in a big old pickup truck's going to get out and whack you in the head with one of his baseball bats or sticks. Why aren't you putting up a detour, man? Like,
Right.
get it together. What's wrong with you, stupid? It's
Yeah.
like, seriously, come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on. In this day and age, and you can't sit there and go, well, GPS, because GPS is all, if you don't tell it that exit's closed, it has no idea. It's just routing you to the next exit. And
Yep.
a lot of times it's trying to reroute you back onto the same path because it's like, you know, so golly, PSA, get it together.
Yeah.
Detour, printed, posted, all the way through to the detour. That's all I got, Matt.
Yeah, I 100%. And again, if you've got connection with Google and Waze, other popular traffic, send them an email and let them know if you've got, especially if you've got an extended traffic control, let them know about that.
Yeah. Later.